2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago?
Yeah, that time we were talking all about Rue Morgue Records, but this time we're talking about...
That's right.
This time we're talking about your band's brand new album. So, to bring us up to speed, tell us a little bit about this album and what people can expect to hear on this album.
Oh, I mean, it's taken us I'll say 5 years, but really 4 years since the last record. And you know, I think it's more of a record of songs that are like a journey. You know, you can listen to them individually, sure, but I think all together when you put it on from start to finish. It's very much a grunge rock style record, very 90s inspired music. You know, I grew up in the 90s, so that's kind of where I'm from. That's how I write. So you know, expect melody, expect big guitars, expect big riffs.
So, a lot of people out there who are listening right now are going to be asking the question now, what kind of music did you grow up listening to in the 90s?
Well, exactly that. It was all grunge rock, you know. I just loved bands like, you know, Soundgarden and Alice in Chains and Stone Temple Pilots, Pearl Jam as well, Nirvana. All those usual suspects that, you know, really taught me how to sort of construct songs and write melodies and harmonies, and I just loved that stuff, you know, and I never really left, you know. That's kind of why I do what I do now.
Yeah, and that of course like explains the sound that the band has got, but talk us through the lyrics a little bit. What kind of things inspire you guys when you sit down to work on the lyrics?
Lyrically, it's generally very personal. You know, there's an art to it. It's personally themed, but I think written quite broad, because you know you don't want to just put your whole heart and soul out on the line. You know, so I like to write what I'm trying to say, but then put it in a broad kind of umbrella, because it can kind of be interpreted how you want to interpret it. But you know, as long as I know what I'm saying, I think that's enough for me.
It really feels like you guys were pushing some boundaries and trying some new stuff with this album as well. Was that something that you were really aware of when you were working on the album and recording it?
Not necessarily, you know. You're not the first person to say that. You know, the way I write, I just kind of keep writing songs. I've never stopped and thought about, you know, the next step. I've just continued to write songs. So I don't really see it that way, but a few people have said that it's a step up, or it's, you know, we've pushed new ground, and it is good. And I know that this record does have some really light moments and really dark and big moments. So it is good to know that we've managed to do that.
Yeah. Now, one of the things that a lot of bands talk about when they come on the show is finding time to record and finding that time to head into the studio. You run a studio. Does that make it a little bit easier for you guys to actually get together and work on an album when you've got the studio there all the time?
Well, yes. I mean, you know, we're very fortunate that we've got the, you know, that luxury, I guess. But at the same time, every minute I work on my own music is a minute I'm not actually earning a living. So you know, although it's like it's convenient, it's also not convenient, because you've got to find time. You got to pick the right time. You can't work on it too much all the time, because then all of a sudden you don't have your bills paid. So it certainly, you know, has to, as much as we want to just sort of stay in here all the time, you gotta balance it out.
Yeah. And what has the last 12 months been like for you as well? Because the last 12 months has been an absolute horror show for everybody in the arts industry. What has it been like for you as a studio owner, but also as a band member as well?
It's been exactly that, you know. It's I haven't really worked until these last few months, and the studio was, you know, I guess by law shut for most of last year, and I was, you know, on the job seeker payments like everyone else really, and I utilised the time to work on band projects, you know, like make this band and just doing more social media promo stuff for the band, because I needed something to do, and it was great. It was actually, I was lucky. I was in that respect to have that outlet. Instead of sitting around doing nothing, I actually had things I could do that was still a step forward, for the band especially.
Yeah, we saw the 3 singles come out in 2020 from you guys. Did that mean that the album was actually recorded before we went into lockdown, or were you guys still kind of working on the album as well?
No, it was recorded well before. It was recorded and submitted in September 2019. So it was scheduled to come out around March 2020, and it literally got pushed back due to COVID, and which is why. And it's funny, the singles we planned to put out with the videos, although they were the same singles, the videos certainly changed because we didn't have the means to make the original planned videos. So we kind of just made what we could, And I'm actually really happy with what we did. I think they turned out great.
Yeah, definitely. They look amazing. And the album's coming out through Golden Robot Records, which is one of my favourite record labels. I think everything they bring out, I end up going and buying a copy of. Tell us a little bit about how that relationship started with Golden Robot.
We were looking for a label like any band, and we were fortunate enough to meet Mark from Golden Robot and pass him our first record. And then we followed it up about, a year or so later, and just happened to catch him at a time when he had a bit of spare time, and he gave it a listen, and it kind of went from there. He just wanted to hear a bit more new material, and we sent him some demos for the new record, and he was impressed with that, and we were happy with how our negotiations were going. So I think obviously you sign to a label, it's a two-way street. You got to be happy with them as much as they got to be happy with you. So negotiations were great, and we managed to find some common ground, and here we are. Yeah.
Definitely. And one of the things I love about this as well, you're bringing it out on vinyl, but the vinyl version actually has 2 extra tracks on there as well with some live acoustic tracks. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about putting those tracks together, and what else is there going to be really special about this vinyl?
Well, that came about because that's actually a double disc vinyl because the nature of the songs they're quite long, some of these songs, and they wouldn't fit on a standard vinyl. So we've put it on 2 discs, and it just meant that there was going to be a fair bit of space left on the final side. So we thought we'd put a bit of extra stuff on it, just exclusive for the vinyl. And we had these 2 tracks already sitting around that we'd already pre-recorded. We just added the drums and bass to them live in the studio, and I did a mix of that, and we mastered it with the record, and so it's kind of exclusive to vinyl, which I think is a great thing.
It is. It's absolutely amazing. And mate, everything's opening back up again now. We're seeing more and more restrictions get lifted as the weeks go by. What does that mean for the band? Does that mean that you guys might be heading out and doing some live shows soon as well?
We actually have our album launch next Friday night, which will be March 19th, at Stay Gold in Melbourne. And yes, even though it's still COVID restricted, at least there is venues opening up and we can actually play, which is great. And so we're really looking forward to that. That's the day of the album release. We're playing it at a venue in town, and then the following week we're heading up to Sydney to play at Frankie's Pizza on March 25th, and also to support the record.
Awesome, that is going to be absolutely amazing. And I guess to finish off, is there anything you would like to say to our listeners out there before they go out and grab a copy of this album, because they've only got to wait a week now?
That's right. Well, please come to the show. I think that'd be great. Or if not our show, Ian's show. Just get out and see some live music, support local venues, support local bands. But yes, ideally, come and see our show and the venue that we're playing in. That'd be ideal. But no, in all honesty, just get out there, buy music, and support the local scene. That'd be great.
Awesome, mate. Well, thank you so much for chatting to us. I think it's time on our show now to take another listen to one of these amazing tracks off the album. So thank you so much for joining us, and hopefully a lot of our listeners do head out to see you guys at Stay Gold next week. For sure. I hope to see you there. It'll be great. Awesome, mate. That'd be absolutely fantastic. I'll let you go, but thank you so much for chatting to us tonight.
Thanks, mate. Take care.
Not a problem. We'll talk soon. Bye.